Good morning. Good morning. Hello, everyone. How are you doing this fabulous morning? It's good to see you. It's good to see everybody here. Doing a little bit of checking here on things. Hello. How you doing? Happy Wednesday morning. It is October 19th. It's good to see you here. Welcome. Um, I am back from my travels. And if this, by the way, if this is the first time that you have ever joined me for a live broadcast or you've never popped in here before, thank you. Welcome. It's good to have you here. If you'll take a minute, I promise I will make it worth your time. My name is Renee Harden. By trade, I am an editor. I am a writer. I'm a writing coach. I love to help people tell their stories and share their stories in different formats, helping you create your best content and share that with the world. So I appreciate you being here. It's a pleasure to have you. If you're joining me live on the broadcast, please pop in and say hello. I love greeting folks from all around. And today, I am enjoying a nice cup of tea. You know, I'm a coffee enthusiast, but I also, when the temperatures start to drop, and they are dropping here in Texas, even though it's Texas, we've had a little cold snap here. Our mornings have been down in the low 40s, and we're enjoying highs in the upper 60s. Now, the next 4 days are going to get us back up in the 80s. So we're having a last sort of reach for summer as summer bids farewell and we enter the fall season. We had our trees trimmed. I'm looking out my window right now and watching how the trees are starting to change. But we had some tree trimming done, which has really opened up things. So now I get to see a beautiful vista here. The branches were kind of reaching over to the house. So this time of year is when tree trimming happens, when tree decorating happens, right? We're celebrating the seasons of fall, which are coming up pretty quickly. So we have October, we have November, and then, of course, December when everything gets festive for the holidays. So I'm enjoying some Constant Comment tea. It has, it's an orange spice tea. Perfect for these coming fall temperatures, right? Good morning, Sherry. Good to have you here. Such a dear friend as always. Thank you so much. Well, today's featured mug has to do with something that's coming up next month that we're going to start preparing for now. Have you ever been trying to get ready for something and you didn't feel adequately prepared? Oh, yes. Cozy tea. Hello, my sweet bear. How are you doing? Yes. Something about having some orange spice tea on a cool morning. Mm. And so, as I always do each week, I have a featured mug from my mug collection. And it's my featured mug for NaNoWriMo. Now, what is NaNoWriMo? You might be asking. NaNoWriMo is an acronym short for, now this says NaNoWriMug, and I love that. But NaNoWriMo is something that happens every November. And it's a chance for people to work on their works in process, whether they're working on a book or working on developing a book. But the goal is to write 50,000 words in 30 days. That's the challenge, 50,000 words in 30 days. Now, what does that account to? Let's break that down into an easier task, because sometimes you say, oh, 50,000 words. There are people who've been able to do this. But what if you're just starting out? What if you've not written before and you want to try to tackle this goal? Well, 50,000 words in 30 days is roughly 1,650 words per day, give or take, right? The goal is to try to reach 50,000 words. So if you can write 1,650 words a day, that's 16, 17 sentences of 10 words every day. Now, if you were to go back and look at your social media and see how much you post, unless you're just a meme poster or you just love forwarding things. But if you were to write things out and post them, I guarantee you'd probably find out that you write at least 500 words or more. So, what I like to do is break that down because a lot of people are not really writing on their novels. And so, NaNoWriMo stands for National Novel Writers Month or National Novel Writing Month. A lot of people are working on their novels, finishing their novels, working more on their novels. Some people can knock out a 50,000 word project in a month. Now, for seasoned writers, that's an easy task. But what about people who are just starting? What if you just wanted to kind of dip your toes in the writing exercise? Well, here's what I'm going to do for you. We're going to come together for the month of November in what I call National Novice Writers Month, right? Doesn't that have a little better ring to it? And it doesn't seem as daunting, right? So let me put that up here. Because I think that has a little bit of an easier tone to it. Don't feel as pressured. So, National Novice Writers Month is what I like to call it. And what I like to do is celebrate those novice writers out there. Maybe you've thought about writing, but you've never really tackled sitting down and writing consistently. That's what we're going to do during the month of November. But before we do that, we're going to do a little bit of prep, right? Because how many of you have worked on something or been doing something and you didn't feel adequately prepared or you didn't feel like you did your best in preparing? So, I mean, a great example of that is me this morning with my intro video. Normally, if you've been watching the broadcast up to this point, you know that I have these really slick intro videos that have some interesting points called did you knows. Did you know? Did you know this? Did you know that? Because I'm trying to help educate and enlighten you in all things writing, books, publishing. Well, as you notice, I had some wonderful hold music this morning for my intro video. And that wasn't the fault of the person who creates it because my wonderful daughter, who is currently full-time in college right now, and she is a graphic design major. She is my part-time virtual assistant. She works for me creating all of the graphics and all of the videos and things that you see that I share content with on social media. Well, I was in town in Nashville last week. We got to celebrate. She was coming off of fall break. It was my birthday. We were so excited to be together. And through a chain of events that was not her fault or mine, it sort of threw her schedule in a whack, and she just did not have the time to produce a slick video for me this morning. And that's totally okay because you know what? Sometimes those things happen, right? Maybe you didn't notice. I hope you noticed because I love sharing little tidbits in my opening videos, things that you probably haven't thought about. So, we're going to be talking about and sharing in the next week or so little tidbits. I'm going to be sharing ways that you can prepare for National Novice Writers Month. So, we're going to talk about let's see, Tiffany, when you break it down, it doesn't sound so daunting. Well, that's the key. That's the key. Now, maybe you may not have a goal of 50,000 words. Maybe you just want to set yourself a goal of writing 500 words a day. Let's see what 500 words a day would garner in 30 days, right? If you were to do that consistently for 30 days, you would have 15,000 words. That's a pretty good start to a beginning story. That gives you the bones to then build upon, right? So I'm going to be spending these next 2 weeks talking about some preparation, some things that we can do to get ready. We're going to be talking about building characters. We're going to be talking about outlining and plotting. For this week, we're going to talk about how to spark an idea. How do you come up with a story idea? What What if you've kind of have an idea that you've been working on and you want to develop it a little further? Or maybe you don't even have an idea yet, but you kind of want to spark your creativity, right? So we're going to talk about how to generate an idea for your story. And there's a wonderful website. If you go to NaNoWriMo.org, you will find all kinds of resources, tools, and tips. I'll be sharing those with you. You wrote 1,000 words on Instagram this morning. Okay, Tiffany, we'll see. There you go. A lot of times we don't realize that what we're posting on social media is actually consistent content. And if you are posting on your social media platforms regularly, or you're communicating with your audience there, or maybe you have a business or you're trying to share some things, you will find that you're already doing it. But to sit down and focus that writing into a story can be a little tricky. And so the consistent thing you can do, first of all, is you want to find yourself a place where you can write without any interruption. I have my office here. I'm surrounded by books. I have my window open this morning. It's beautiful. I have a beautiful view of the sun coming up, all of the trees at our backyard, where I'm on the second floor of our house. So I'm also up high. So in the trees, I see little squirrels come down and everything. And it's a peaceful way for me to work. This is my creative space. Maybe you don't have a room in your house that's dedicated to be an office, but what about a little nook area? What about creating a little area where you have your laptop, or maybe your iPad, or maybe it's your desk area where you sit, but have that area and set aside time in your day, 30 minutes. Give yourself 15 to 30 minutes and write. Maybe you take your iPad with you. Maybe you just use your phone. Go for a walk somewhere quiet and sit down and start writing. Start tapping out those thoughts that you have and see what kind of idea that you're coming up with. Now, if you're having trouble coming up with ideas, let's work on an exercise right now together and see what we can come up with, okay? Because this is a fun way to exercise your creativity and see if we can't get some ideas rolling, okay? So I'm going to share my screen with you so you can see here what's going on. I wish I could look at it. I guess I have to look this way in the camera so you can see that I'm looking at the screen, but I actually need to see the screen here. All right, so this is a random plot generator. I love this. This is a writing exercise. I'll be able to send you the link to this. But this is a fun website that helps you with some writing prompts so that you can develop a storyline. So it says the aim of this writing prompt is to help you develop a storyline. When you click the buttons, they will generate two characters, a setting, a situation, and a theme. Your job is to put the elements together and come up with an idea for a story. And you can change an element by clicking the button again. Okay, so let's try this. Let's see what we can come up with. So for our main character, let's click this. Okay, so for our main character, a man in his late 30s who can be quite bold. Okay, a man in his late 30s. So we're going to copy that and I'm going to put it in a Word document. And I'm showing you how to do this live right here on screen, just so that you can see the time that it takes, right? So we are at almost 8:20. So let's see how quickly we can generate a plot. So I'm going to paste that into a document. Okay. All right. Now that's our main character. So now let's look at character number 2. A man in his late 40s who can be quite adventurous. So we have a man in his late 30s who can be quite bold, and a man in his early 40s who can be quite adventurous. Do you want to stay with that character, or would you like to try to generate another character? Do we want to have 2 male characters? Let's click on character 2 and see what we come up with. A man in his late 20s who can be quite aggressive. I want to see a female character come up. Let's see what comes up. Ah, a woman in her 50s who is very overbearing. Now, this could be an interesting storyline. What if the man in his late 30s who can be quite bold and a woman in her 50s who is very overbearing? That sounds interesting. Do you like that one? What if the woman was the boss and the man in his late 30s was the bold employee? Or what if it was the other way around? What if the man in his late 30s who could be quite bold was the boss and a woman in her 50s who is very overbearing worked for him? Can you already see some interesting storylines come up, right? Do you want to stay with that one? Let's stay with that one, okay? All right, now we're going to try and let's see what kind of setting we have, because the setting where the story takes place, or also the time period, it sounds like some mother-son relationships, you know. Isn't that true, Tiffany? Right. That does sound like some mother-son relationships, right? And so that's an interesting storyline that could possibly be incorporated into a story. So now let's see what the setting would be. All right. All right. So the setting, let's click on the setting. The story begins in a psychiatric hospital. Okay. Now there's an interesting twist. And when you're talking about the mother-son relationship, boy, that could be an interesting storyline, right? The story begins in a psychiatric hospital. Shall we keep that one or shall we click to the next setting? What do you think? I'm going to let you guys decide. Should we stay with that setting or should we click on a new one? So if you're watching in the comments, give me some ideas. Let me know if I should stay with this setting or if I should click and try a new one. I'll give it a few seconds because I want to see if you want to keep that one. And if you do, we can keep that one. We can keep going and we can, all right, it looks like you guys want to keep that one. Okay, let's move on to then situation. Here's an interesting thing because your story is always going to have a main character. Ooh, maybe they're roommates in the psych ward. Oh, that's an interesting idea, Savannah. They're roommates in the psych ward. Okay, that's a great idea. So let's see what the situation is. That's a great idea. So now we have a main character. We have character number 2. We have a setting. Now let's see what the situation is. See what the situation is. Someone is driven out of their home. Ooh. So it begins in a psychiatric hospital, but then someone is driven out of their home. Interesting. Do we want to keep that one or do we want to click and see a new situation? Because this will auto-generate all kinds of ideas. And again, the goal of this is to get your mind thinking creatively to come up with story ideas, right? Do we keep or do we click? Let me know. Keep or click that situation. Ooh, inquiring minds. People are thinking, they're thinking about it. Click, new situation. Okay, got it. All right. Click, I love it. Victoria, new situations. You were so intrigued, but you have to go do grocery shopping. That's okay, Tiffany Ann. All right, so I am going to click. Let's find a new situation. A long-lost family member turns up in the middle of the night. So the story begins in a psychiatric hospital. Maybe there's a flashback and a long-lost family member turns up in the middle of the night. Do you like that situation? Do you think that's something that we can work with as a story idea? A long-lost family member turns up in the middle of the night. Let's keep that. Ooh, maybe Maybe someone comes to help break them out. See? Look at how the ideas are already coming in. I love that. So let's keep that situation and move on to the theme, right? Let's find out what our theme is going to be. It's a story about loss. So we have a man in his late 30s who can be quite bold, a woman in her 50s who is very overbearing. The story begins in a psychiatric hospital. A long lost family member turns up in the middle of the night. It's a story about loss, right? Doesn't that sound interesting? I mean, already we have a great idea for the beginnings of a story. Now, what's next is character action. What are the characters going to do? So let's click on now. That theme could be about loss. Do you like that one? Or do you want to click and find out a new theme? Or do you like the way these elements have played together to create a story idea? Because you see, you can already see how this is generating some thoughts, some possible angles, things that you can already think of to create a storyline, right? Okay. We've got a lot here. Now let's look at character action. Character action. Your character offers to lend a helping hand. So a man in his late 30s who can be quite bold, a woman in her 50s who is very overbearing. The story begins in a psychiatric hospital. A long lost family member turns up in the middle of the night. It is a story about loss, and your character offers to lend a helping hand. Maybe your main character is going to help the woman in her 50s because a long lost family member did your help comment manifest that one, right? Who knows? Maybe it did. I mean, I I just clicked the button and that's what came up first, right? But you see how by going through this plot generator, you already are coming up with an idea. So the great thing about this is you can copy this to the clipboard, right? And then I'm going to put this in a brand new Word document. So I'm going to share my screen so you can see me do that. Let's see here. Let me share that screen so you can see what I'm working on. All right, here we go. So now I'm going to share this screen so you can watch me put this into a document. And I mean, guys, this is how easy it can be, right? So I'm going to go right here, and here's all the elements to our story. All right, and just by using our plot generator to come up with some ideas, we now have the beginnings of a story. And if you look right down here at the bottom of your word screen, that's 52 words already, just with coming up with the idea. Now imagine you could take each one of these sentences, let's put some spaces in between. Right? Let's put a few spaces in between these sentences because I'm showing you right here how you can start working on a story idea just by using these little tidbits. You can, so this is our main character right here, right? This first one. Oh, it's got an extra space in there. Let's see. Let's take that space out. You know that whenever Word double underlines something like that, especially if it's in blue, it usually has to do with spacing or punctuation. If it's red, it's usually because a word is misspelled. Did you know that? That if you see the blue lines, it usually has to do with spacing or punctuation. If you see red, it's that the word is incorrect, just so you know. So now you have the beginnings of a story. You can develop your character here a little bit if he's in his late 30s. Why is he so bold? What happened to him in his younger years that made him be this way? The woman in her 50s, she's very overbearing. Why did that happen? Right? What made her be overbearing? You can expound a little bit on her. We're going to talk about character development next week. The story begins in a psychiatric hospital, right? Where is this hospital? Is it in the United States? Is it in England? Is it in a foreign country? Is it in a very small community town where there's only one hospital? There's all kinds of interesting things that you can do with this setting, right? And if you have some favorite movies you've watched where the setting is similar, you can kind of get some ideas. What does it look like? How old is the hospital? How is it staffed? Is it a good hospital? Is it a hospital known for treating its patients badly? Is it a haunted psychiatric hospital, right? And then a long lost family member turns up in the middle of the night. Is the family member a kid? Is the family member older? Is it a woman? Is it a male? Um, who is it? Who is this long lost family member, right? And a story about loss. What is the loss? If the family member turns up in the middle of the night, is this someone bringing news of maybe they have news, or maybe it's someone showing up with news about money that has been inherited by the main character. And so the woman in her 50s, who might be his mother, right? Tiffany mentioned a mother-son relationship, and that maybe the money was left to the son, but the mother feels like she's owed some too, right? And a story about loss. Is it a personal loss? Is it a monetary loss? Either one, it's a loss. And our character offers to lend a helping hand. So which character is that going to be? Is it going to be the man in his 30s? Or is it going to be the woman in her 50s? Maybe the man in his 30s, maybe the woman in her 50s who is overbearing is a patient at the psychiatric hospital. And the man who is in his late 30s, who can be quite bold, is the one that is going to, as Savannah said, break her out of the hospital, right? But this is how you can come up with some great story ideas. You already have 52 words, and you could sit down just by developing this content. Let's see, a man in his late 30s. Let's see, he's the son of. Let's see, a woman is in her 50s. Says, let's see, maybe she is. Um, okay. He is the son of a great artist who was once famous but has disappeared from society, right? She was once a great, I don't know, sculptor, famous for um, the statues at, I don't know, maybe she's not famous for, she's not a great sculptor. Let's see, what is she? If she's a great artist, let's see, she was once, ah, um, ooh, Ooh, okay. Um, let's see. Instead of a great artist, let's put who was we have to do some research and find out where we could situate this psychiatric hospital, right? So, what kind of setting do you want that to be in? Is it during the fall and winter? Um, we're in the fall season right now, so maybe that's a way for you to have some creativity. Set in the oh, listen to I don't know if you can hear the puppies outside. My neighbor's dog of set in the mountainous town of in the Adirondacks. Did I spell that right? I'm just guessing here, right? A long lost family member turns up in the middle of the night. Um, this person brings news of ooh. Oh my goodness, do you hear the puppies? I don't know if you can hear them on your microphone, but they are singing. They are out there just singing away. This person brings news of a lost of a let's see, of an unclaimed inheritance worth how many million dollars? Let's say $2 million. Okay. So it's a story about loss. It's a story about loss. And now our main character, who is quite bold, is going to lend a helping hand to his mother, who was once a famous writer, because she lost her husband. She's lost her will to write. Okay. So we have 116 words just in generating our story idea right here. Look, words, see, 116 words. So that's how you sit down and plot a story, come up with an idea, outlining it in a way to know who your character is, who the secondary character is, where the setting is, what the situation is, right? What is the theme? And what does your character do, right? This is a great way to work on generating ideas for a story. So I'll be sharing the random plot generator link with you. It'll be a way for you to come up with some great story ideas. Or maybe you have a great story idea that you are working on, but you just haven't been able to flesh it out yet. Well, that's what NaNoWriMo does. NaNoWriMo helps you generate ideas and work on a project that you have inside of you for a story. Maybe you've already come up with an idea. Maybe you've already been writing it, but you want to put some more meat on the bones. You want to develop some ideas. You want to look at your characters and see how you can work on creating a solid story. So we're going to be talking about this in the next few weeks. We're going to be talking about character development and some questionnaires on what you can use to help develop those characters. We're going to also be talking about constructing a detailed plot or an outline for your story. If you've never done this before and you sit down and you want to try to start writing a story, let me encourage you that you want to sit down and at least plot an outline, have some semblance, right? Because with the exercise we just did, right, where we have, let me go back to the screen, where we have some bare bones of a story, right? But this helps give us some structure to our creative thoughts. It, don't try to sit down and just bang out the story, but that takes some time. It's okay to write your story this way, to be able to see the pieces, see the main character, see the secondary character, see the setting, see the situation, know more about the theme, and then see what the character action is, because this is going to be driving what your characters say and what they do in the story to move the story information forward, right? So we're going to be talking about how to plot an outline so that it helps you keep on track with your story. You won't be trailing off on all these little threads. You're going to keep to the main points of the story and the main things that your characters need to do in order to move the story forward and, create action. We're also going to be talking about the world that your character lives in, right? This setting. We're going to be talking about world building. And we want our readers to explore these places with us as we're carrying them through the story. So we want to be able to do that. So setting is very important, right? Because with a story like this, the setting of where it's taking place plays into that. It can establish mood and tone for the story. It reveals details about your characters. So that's going to be an important thing to talk about. We're also going to be talking about how to organize your life to support your writing goals. If you're going to sit down and try to write consistently, it's going to require you to get some things organized in your life so that you can sit down and do this consistently. Now, I hear my neighbor's puppies barking. I don't know if you can hear them in the background. For me, that could either be creative because there's a storyline. What is that? Is the dog trying to warn us about something? Is he just saying hello to all the people who are walking by in the morning? Is he just a nervous, yippy dog wanting to, or is this a distraction that we need to nip in the bud? Maybe for you, that might be a little distraction. So we have to take steps to organize our time and our life so that we can sit down and write. So we need to make room in our schedule. So if you're going to join me for the month of November, I want you to look at your schedule for November because, we have Thanksgiving coming up, right? But we have 30 days to work on our stories. I'm going to be working on the stories behind my coffee mug collection. I have a pretty extensive coffee mug collection. In fact, I believe at last count, I had 180. I've added a couple of mugs, so I'm going to have to go back through and count them. But behind every mug is a story. And so I've been working on it for a while. I have about, let's see, I think I did 2 months worth of writing. I have to go back and look and see, but I'm still working on this project. I'm going, but I keep working on it. So in the month of November, I'm going to work on writing at least a story per day for 30 of my mugs. I've got to pick 30 mugs and write the stories. So that's what I'm going to be working on. And I hope you'll join me in this effort to write, because writing stories is important and sharing yours is important. So you've got to organize your life so that you can sit down and have dedicated time to write. You're already doing it on social media. I know you can do it because I see your posts, and that's okay. You're creating content daily. Now, let's sit down and work on concentrated content for you to develop into a story idea, right? So we're going to do that. We're going to schedule and manage our time. What is the best writing schedule for you? Are you more creative in the morning? Are you more creative at night? What if you are working? What if you are like my daughter and you're going to school and you're working on assignments and you just want to have a little bit of creative time? So that's important. November is also a heavy exam month. It's testing month, right? So what if you have to do that? How do you make time for writing? I know people who sometimes they'll get up early in the morning or they save that late night time. Now, I recommend writing in the morning time when you first wake up. You're a little more, your brain is a little more ready to think. At night, you're a little worn out. You're a little tired. Maybe you write over your lunch break. Okay. So, anyway, we're going to be talking more about those kinds of things in the coming week. We're going to be sharing those, and I am going to be working with you and hopefully sharing with you some of my stories that are coming from my coffee mug collection. So, are you ready to write? I am. I hope you'll join me. We're going to talk next week about how we can organize our life for writing and manage our time so that when we start in November, we've got a plan of action in place, right? We've already got the creativity. We already probably know what we want to write about. Or if you don't know, I'll be sharing the plot generator with you, some plot generating ideas so that you can then come up with an idea. But maybe you already have one. And if you do, that's great. And maybe you've already been working on your story idea, but you want to get it ready to publish. I love helping you do that too. In fact, if I can help you with your story, let me know. I would love to do that. That's what my job is. I'm working on a book right now for an author who is publishing a book in Christmas time. So I love helping you with your stories. I love helping you break through those writer's block moments that you have and help you tap into your own creativity so that you can then create some amazing content to share with folks. We already worked on 116 words today, this morning, with what we were doing. Yes, it is fun, Sherry. And I'm so thankful that you all joined me for this. And by you chiming in, you helped generate a story idea just like that in the 40 something minutes that we've been together. So, guys, it can be done. You can do this. Even if you were to just work on 116 words, that's 116 words that you didn't have 40 minutes ago, right? So you can do this. And I want to encourage you to keep going forward with that. So if you would like some assistance, if you have some questions, maybe you just want to talk to me about, Renee, I want to come up with a good story idea. Can you help me out? Yes, I do this all the time. I have 30-minute coffee conversations, if you will. You can book 30 minutes with a free consultation with me to talk about your story idea, to see if we can't come up with something in 30 minutes. Maybe you have some questions on how to pursue getting your book published with either an agency or finding a literary agent, or maybe you're interested in self-publishing your book because you can do that too. Whatever your questions are, I would love to help you. So please go right here to my website, reneeharden.com/contact. Let me know how I can help you tell your story and you can be prepared for National Novice Writers Month, because I would love to see the day when you hold your book or see your story published out there in the world. It's the best feeling. And I hope you have been encouraged by this. All right. So, guys, let's get to writing. Let's get creative. I hope your day is fantastic. I know mine is going to be. I'm ready for a refill. I don't know about you. But get out there and make today awesome. You've got some awesome things to do and some awesome things that you have to share with other people. Ideas, projects, who knows? Just the smile on your face might be the thing that someone needs to be encouraged to share their story. Share yours. You never know what can come of it. And I'll be back here next week to do a little more prep for NaNoWriMo before we dive in November. All right? Take care, guys. Have a fantastic day. I'll see you back here next week.